Are you familiar with that show Rescue 911 from the 90s? William Shatner was a talk show host, and he would basically introduce like an emergency sort of situation. They would say, like, there was a car accident or someone was electrocuted, and then they would cut to a dramatic reenactment of the event that happened because obviously you couldn't recapture the actual events, but they would have actors kind of reenact it. And that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to be reenacting, but sort of recreating from scratch this sort of journey, this adventure of using ChatGPT for coding, for programming. And so there's a couple of things about this. And so I guess first of all, I will bring up into my browser window here ChatGPT, and we are going to be giving it some sort of prompts, and we will be working on a little project here, which involves this tool I'm currently recording on. So here's me picture in a picture. This is a tool called OBS. And my problem was that I needed the ability to capture the like screenshots on a time delay, right? So right here, I'm recording, and this is my desktop, or I can switch over and record my face. But when we record this, I can right click and take a screenshot. And then it saves a screenshot of what I just took over here in this folder. And so I wanted the ability to take a screenshot, but on a delay. And so that way I could be kind of like standing up over here, or I actually have a little I have a second camera on this teleprompter tripod kind of thing, and I can set this up here, and I can switch over to this, and I can kind of reposition it, and I can be over here. And so ideally what I would like to be able to do is to hit a button. It's got a little blurry there, get it refocused. Refocus. I would like to hit a button. Keeps going out of focus there. I got to readjust that. But want to hit a button and be able to kind of go like, or point to something, or, you sometimes you see thumbnails in that way of someone that's just like, someone's taking a picture of them and it's on a time delay. I don't know why that keeps on ended up being blurry, but all the more reason to do it on a delay and to do it multiple times. But as far as I could tell, this program OBS could only take a screenshot if I right clicked and went to the menu. And so I needed ChatGPT's help to figure this out. I needed ChatGPT's help, first of all, from a high level overview to say, well, how do I even do this? Like, what's the tool? What's the programming language? Is this even possible? I needed ChatGPT's help to write out a proof of concept and to just kind of give me the pieces, give me the steps to make something that was working, and then to further troubleshoot and add the features that I wanted and just kind of like fix the raw edges. And so it's time for that dramatic reenactment. And I guess I'll show you what the end result is, and then I'll delete it and recreate it. So we can go here to this tools scripts, and ChatGPT coded this for me where I can just start taking screenshots. So I can, I guess, let me think here. As soon as I click this button, well, it will take a screenshot of my desktop, but I can switch over to myself, and is it taking screenshots? It took 32 seconds, 43 seconds. Oh, I know why I'm not sure, because I need to add this little thing that says taking screenshot 1 and screenshot 2. And this was part of the process where I said, like, how can I be sure that it's taking a screenshot of me doing this and doing this? And then the end result is that in that folder there, you see how it kind of has me with my hands in the air, and sometimes it has the text in there, but you can see how this just kind of works. We can hit a button and then have this kind of, it's like a photo booth, right? Where, remember the old days? We're talking about all these 90s phenomenons, right? Where you would get in a photo booth and there'd be a delay and it would keep on giving you different, like, fun pictures with you and your date. And so this way we can get these kind of hands-free photos. And so the way that this was created was in this tools scripts area. There is this, wherever it is. Guess I'll open my text editor here. And we have all this code. And even if you don't, showing my desktop here. So we go to tools, scripts, screenshot delay, and then the script is all this sort of Python code. And so I don't know Python, but I am a computer programmer. I do know PHP, and so you might have to like understand some of these concepts. Like these are variables, these are functions or procedures, and you might have. But I did not touch any of this code. This was all ChatGPT generated, and so yeah. Let me kind of. I kind of want to. Well, I'll save a backup of this because I do want my precious code, but I'll walk you through what I did from scratch. So we started off and there was not even that. So I need to kind of, let me think here. I'll stop the recording and I'll reopen OBS. And here we are starting over. So if I go to the scripts area of OBS, it says Python is not currently loaded. So we are back here from square one. So here's what I did was, first I wanted to know if it was even possible. So I say to ChatGPT 4, I say, I want to add some functionality to OBS Studio to be able to take a screenshot or multiple screenshots on a delay. Is this possible? And how is this done? So it is possible, but it might require a combination of scripting. And haven't you been in this sort of situation before where you said, I want to create an app, but I don't know how that would be possible. What language would I use? What tool would I use? And so right off the bean here, it creates sort of the first version of what I showed you a moment ago. Just from me asking that one question, it is cranking out the code. And it's even still working as we're talking. So here's what it said. It says, set up OBS to work with Python scripting. Go to the scripts section to ensure the correct Python path is set. So we know as far as these prerequisites that that's what we need to enable in OBS. And that alone took me like half an hour or an hour. So this is why I'm reenacting, because unless you're some sort of sick pervert, why would you want to see me just try to figure all this stuff out for hours on end? So here we go. And it even gives us instructions, right? It says take this script, go to Tools Scripts, at the plus button, load this screenshot delay.py script, and then set your desired screenshot delay. And so first it gives us a script. We can go over here and click on copy code, and then we can open up our text editor. Let's open up a quick notepad here and right click and paste this. Even if you don't know coding, then that's okay. It's just, you give it what ChatGPT gave you, and then just run it and see how it works and see if it works at all. And then it says to save this, save it as screenshot delay.py. So we right click and copy this. And we do need some computering skills, right? We do need some testing, troubleshooting, and development skills. We just don't have to know how to program the language. So I'll just save this on my desktop, screenshot delay.py. And then this says to go to Tools, Scripts, +, and then load the screenshot delay.py script. So here we go, Tools, Scripts. Here are the scripts, the + as it said, and go to our desktop and screenshot delay.py. And then, so then I'm like, okay, well, how do I run it? Nothing's happening. And so then we can go back to ChatGPT for help. And in the script settings, so I'll say, I use the + and added the script to OBS, but no settings appeared. I don't know how to run this. Can you help? Ensure Python is set up correctly. Go to Tools, Scripts, Python Settings. Ensure the correct Python is set. And so basically 3 steps, right? Ensure Python is set up, check for script errors, ensure the script is active. And so again, sort of a computery skill is don't treat error messages as spam. Look at what the message is and see if it's something you can Google. So we go to Tools, Scripts, and then it said to go to Python settings. And here we go, Python is not currently loaded. So then we go back. And when I first did it, I was looking for like a Python. I went Python download. And then I went and wasted a bunch of time installing the recent version of Python. And then I went digging into message boards and finding previous versions, and that didn't work. So now we go to OBS and we say, can you help? So I'll pass along the error message. So we said the error is Python not currently loaded. So let's just start with there, right? OBS says Python not currently loaded. How do I find a version of Python Windows 10 that works with OBS? Okay, so we'll start there. We'll go to commands and just we'll run the command it's telling us to run. If I can get my window back. Size this to fit on the screen. Okay, so they said before anything else, do Python version. So it was not found. So that takes care of the first step. Go to the official download page. And I did install it when I went through all these steps, but then it still said it couldn't find like the OBS code here. So what I ended up having to do was search for like OBS Python Windows 10. And then I found someone that compiled, oh geez. I think it ended up here. I was like, well, I installed it and I couldn't find this OBS Python module. And I tried running some of these commands. And then somewhere I was able to get like a specially compiled version of Python. So let me try to retrace my steps. And it's troubleshooting, right? It's sorting out the difference between actual junk, things that are not useful, and a rabbit hole, a path you should be taking. And so try to find somewhere. Yes, so somewhere I was able to maybe I'll cheat a little bit and I'll try to find in my history, because it was like Win64 Python. So that actually this took me more time than anything else, right? To actually find the Python page. So that's today, darn it. I'm trying to find. So I think I might have done a search again. I'm recreate like Windows install Python OBS library. And then I believe I ended up trying to retrace my steps here. Because I ended up having to find a special like Windows installer. And the way I know I found it is someone said, hey, it would be a good idea if there was an easier way to do this. All right, one moment. Okay, I retraced my steps. I was searching on how to install OBS and Python, And I ended up finding this link to GitHub, this Zuba user. And then here I got sort of lost in all these files, but then I just kind of went back to basics and went to the reading. And they said, well, here are the install steps for Windows. Go to the releases page and then download this OBS Python like compiled version for Windows. And it gave me this zip file, and I unzipped it and it gave me this folder. So then I moved it over to my OBS folder right here. And I clicked in here and I went to the top here and got the whole path and right clicked and copied. And then I went back to OBS and then I went to scripts, Python settings, browse, and then entered that path. So a long walk there. And then now you see that Python just is magically running. And now there's this kind of interface. And so what happens is we can click on this and it kind of refreshes or recompiles the script. And then we can just kind of run it and say, okay, screenshot delay 5 seconds. And then how do I even run it? Because I can see there's this delay, but then how do I see if it even ran? Because I can go and I don't see it taking a screenshot. So we'll kind of look at the code and see what it gave us on our desktop. So screenshot delay, delayed screenshots. So now I know I need to ask ChatGPT, well, how do I run this? So I was able to get Python working. Now back to the script you created for me. How do I run it? How do I take a screenshot? I see the interface to set the number of seconds, but how do I create the screenshot? And so ChatGPT is all about the prompts. And if you find yourself getting frustrated with ChatGPT, well, maybe it's because you are not treating it correctly. Maybe you're not speaking in full sentences. Maybe you're not being clear. Maybe you're expecting it to start filling in the gaps. So here is what it's telling me is that you need to click on start streaming, right? There's a start streaming button. And then when you click start streaming, it will wait 5 seconds and then it will take a screenshot. And so OBS by default is a streaming program. And I mostly use it for video recording. And then we're also using it for this taking a photo here. And so it's trying to be helpful. And it's telling us things like, well, if you want to use it for a hotkey, then that's how you do that. And I don't want to use it for either of those things. So now I will be telling ChatGPT what I want. So I'll say, I don't want the screenshot to be triggered when I click start streaming. Instead, can you add a take screenshot button in the script interface itself? And then it will just give us new code to write. And then we'll update the file, copying it out. And then we'll click on the refresh icon and then reload it. So I don't want to do a hotkey. I don't want to do this with hotkeys. I want you to add a button. And sometimes we do need to fight, need to argue a little bit. All right, so we're doing a little bit of guess and check, trial and error, and we will see what it comes back with here. So it's giving us a screenshot delay. Okay, and it's still being difficult. It's trying to add a checkbox. So let's just see what comes back. Okay, so we'll paste this back in with a lot more code. Then go back to OBS, tools, scripts, reload, and it adds this take screenshots. So we click on that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then, so it took a screenshot, but it gave us an error message. So this gives us a chance to do a little bit more debugging. So we'll do the following. We'll work on one thing at a time. Now we have a little bit of a to-do list, right? Well, first of all, it's being stubborn with this checkbox. So let's be honest, you're being stubborn about the checkbox issue. I know there's a way to add a button within the interface. Please try again. You're right. I can use a button. Well, let's see what it. All this just to make a button. So this does not remove the frustration of troubleshooting, but it does make coding capable for you because I don't know Python. I don't want to learn Python, but I can say you made it this way and change it the other way. There's a thing called the E-myth where any sort of task you have that comes from the the boss who says, here's what I want to create. Then you have the manager, which is the middle layer, which says, now I'll break it down into a smaller series of tasks and assign the tasks and see if they were done. And then the worker, the technician, that actually does the work. So we've replaced that bottom rung, the technician, but we still have to be the boss and kind of stick true to our vision. And then the manager is saying, well, here's our to-do list, here's our testing, our troubleshooting, and say things like, we're not quite there yet. So we copy the code, we paste this all in. And then, even if you don't know coding, you can kind of take a look and be like, okay, I can see what it's sort of trying to create here. So we go back to the scripts, refresh. Uh-oh. So that didn't work. So we pass along the error message. And we can be polite and say error message, or maybe we'll just paste in the error message, let it figure out. So let's see. So I apologize. Aha, so we found an error. So see, it's not perfect. And I saw someone once or heard someone in a podcast interview I ran with them saying that ChatGPT is two things. It's like a calculator, but for language. So when you have a pocket calculator, you enter in numbers and it calculates a result. And ChatGPT does this, but instead for language, which means that it kind of strings things together and arrives at a solution. And the other thing is that ChatGPT is like Stack Overflow. So if you've ever say you search like this error message, you might end up on some message board called Stack Overflow where lots of programmers and coders trying to get their bugs fixed. And so ChatGPT has just amassed all of these sort of conversations. And so we copy the code, and we have to be careful because it only gave us the button pressed function. And so something else is, there's something to be said about getting your hands, isn't it the same exact thing something to be said about getting your hands dirty and being like, I don't want to touch this or mess with this, but I can still understand and perform instructions where it says just paste in this one piece. So we'll go back to the scripts and refresh. It didn't work. So it did not even add the button. So let me try again. Should I shut down OBS and reload? Maybe not. So the button still does not appear. Use the add button method. Okay, so now it's telling us to update the script properties function. So copy the code from scripts properties, then back to OBS, scripts, reload. Never thought I'd be so happy to see a dang button. And there we go. So screenshot delay 5 seconds. And then So there's that aspect of it, but I want to be able to take a number of screenshots in rapid succession. And this is where, well, one step at a time, right? We're getting there, right? And we're being patient and we're kind of slowly, incrementally getting to where we want. We were able to install Python. We were able to add a button, and it has been saving these screenshots correctly. But what we want to do is be able to take like 5 or 10 screenshots. So another thing to be said with programming especially is to understand where you're at, understand the problem in front of you, and then understand what you're asking for and be clear about both of those things is the present state and the future state. That way you can judge and tell if you got there or not, but also you can be clear in your instructions. So we say there's the screenshot delay in seconds, but I also want to add, I'm even thinking out loud to think of how I can ask for this. I also want to add a number of screenshots menu area in the properties. I have to be careful about my wordage here. So can we also add a number of screenshots menu so I can set the number of screenshots I want to take? Okay. Oh, it's saying add this, add that. And so if this is a lot of changes to make, I'm going to wait until it finishes dumping this out, and I'm going to say, just give me the whole script, because it says, "Hey, this is too much. I know I'm going to mess this up, right? ChatGPT is your assistant; they're your buddy." Okay, so now we'll say, give me the entire script in one file. Okay, so now we don't even have to mess around with that, right? We just ask it for what we want and give it a moment to dump all of that out. Okay, much better. So we'll go here, copy the code, go back to our file, and paste it in. Then in ChatGPT, tools, scripts, refresh. Wonderful. Delay screenshots, number of screenshots 1. So I'll make a slight change, and I could make this change myself, but I kind of want it to be building it in here. I'll say change the code so that the default number of screenshots is 5. Wait for all that to generate and copy that out. And perhaps a healthy way of looking at this is that if you were to do this without your helper, it might take you all week. It might take you paying a developer hundreds of dollars, but now you're just figuring it out yourself. So here we go. The default number is 5. And we go to refresh this, delay screenshots, number of screenshots 5. And now here's the real test, because in OBS, we can set these different sort of sources. And so I could set up my other camera, but I'll try it out like this. Okay, so I'll set my scene to be just the podcast here. And what I'll do is I'll go to tools, scripts, and then I'll just run it like this. I'll run it with 5-second delay and number of screenshots 5, and then it will fill up into this folder right here, right? It'll fill up down below here. So let's do that. So I'll switch over to my podcast scene, go to my tools, scripts, and I'll click the button. Okay, so I also, to shortcut some time, I also want to say that I experimented a little bit with things like adding a camera flash or having it put text on the screen saying like screenshot 1, screenshot 2, but it was so much more trouble than it was worth. It ended up adding in extra delays, and sometimes the flash would mess with the lighting or would appear on the screenshot. But what I found to work better is just to have the videos folder open, and I could see these sort of screenshots filling up on the screen, and that was better than anything else I tried. So just that ended up being like a garden path, they call it, where I kept on going down and being like, let me add a camera flash effect. Let me add text appearing on the screen. And it said, well, add another like layer to the program. And it ended up adding in unneeded complexity. And so we kept it simple. And then what we ended up here was just this sort of OBS script with a programming language that we didn't know, using and we kind of had to do some technical steps we didn't know either, which ChatGPT helped us with that. And then so now what I guess I will just go in and create those last little screenshots here that I was going to create. So I'll get my standing camera sort of set up here. And then to show you what I'm doing again, I'm going to Tools, Scripts. I'll go to the screenshot delay, and I'll say screenshot delay seconds, number of screenshots 5. And then on my screen in front of me, I'm going to have this folder here open so I can see the 5 screenshots filling up. And that way I won't look like a total idiot just standing there waiting for it to run. So we'll say spokesperson raw, and then we will. And something that might be interesting is like, does it take the first screenshot right away, or is there a delay? Well, let's get into position and find out. Take screenshots. Okay. And so I saw kind of in the corner of my eye there that it filled up these kind of different images, which is what I was looking for, which is what I was looking to create. So there you have it. There is some coding adventures using ChatGPT and using the second camera here of just adding the scripts and setting the source. That way I could take multiple screenshots and get the functionality I wanted here, which was to take these kind of photos of myself for YouTube thumbnails. And then we even made it a little bit flexible, because we can change the delay, make it longer, make it more screenshots, and then they all dump out in the videos folder. One final thing I might want to add are some instructions here, and say, like, where's the setting for this in OBS? So if we go settings, outputs, recording path. So we'll say that. We'll say one final change. We'll say let's see. So the existing description. So add a little wordage to the script description stating that the screenshots are saved in their recordings folder set in their OBS settings. Wordable. Well, hopefully it understands what I meant to say. The recordings are saved in your recordings folder, so that's in our script description. And that in, go back to our tools, scripts, refresh, and there we go. Now it's completely user friendly, and now we have an OBS script that we can use that was coded in OBS. Thanks for watching, and have fun with this.